U.S. Ambassador to the UN, former National Security Advisor, Ambassador John Bolton. Welcome into Newsline, sir. Good to see you.
Glad to be with you.
In the just few days since we spoke last, a lot has happened in the world. I'd like to start first with the development today. ISIS claimed responsibility for those blasts yesterday in Iran. 84 people dead in Kerman. What do you make of this? And obviously there's growing instability, growing concerns here that is only fueling more action by our inaction.
Right. Well, the government of Iran, as far as I know, has not yet responded to that ISIS claim of responsibility. And I saw what they said, and it was unmistakable. ISIS was claiming that it was responsible, but I still find it unusual. I think there's more here than meets the eye. One basic point, though, is it's not Israel, that's for sure. And so any Iranian propaganda to that effect, I think, is now going to have to be discarded. But this is something that has to shake the regime in Tehran pretty significantly. This ceremony on the anniversary of Soleimani's death was filled with regime supporters, and for ISIS or whomever the perpetrators were to be able to conduct that kind of terror attack has to worry the regime quite a bit.
All right, let's turn to Secretary of State Antony Blinken heading back over to the Middle East for the fourth time here. You've been very clear that the Biden administration, basically, in your words, has been just begging Iran not to do more. And clearly the act of, being weak or being perceived as weak is causing more danger for our U.S. troops abroad, sir. Also, the Houthi rebels seem to be even more encouraged and incentivized here to go after commercial vessels in the Red Sea. What do you think Antony Blinken needs to accomplish in this trip? And do you think it's possible for him to make any significant movement?
Well, we'll see. I don't think it's possible unless the president changes his fundamental understanding of what's going on here, that the shots are being called by the Ayatollahs in Tehran, and that this is not a series of unconnected incidents by different terrorist groups. The U.S. has undertaken, and just in the past day, including today, respond to the Shia militia in Iraq. That's a plus. But a tit-for-tat response, I don't think, establishes deterrence. We'll see. But I think what Blinken needs to say on this trip is that we understand that the responsible party, the real aggressor here, is Iran, and we're going to make it clear their surrogates are going to pay a high price for what they've done. And if it doesn't stop, Iran's going to pay a high price, too. I hope that's what he's going to say, but I'm not waiting around for it.
You've said, U.S. needs to make Iran feel pain, and obviously that is part of, what may be or may not be being discussed right now at the White House. Is there a way to calibrate it so there's pain but not jumping into World War III?
Sure. I don't think this is excessively difficult. You want the government in Tehran to know that it can't get away with this kind of activity without high cost to it. When its surrogates are harmed, the view in Tehran is they're expendable. But in Iran itself, targets like their naval assets, their air defenses, Revolutionary Guard, military headquarters, bases where they produce explosively formed penetrators that have killed Americans, all of these are targets. They will understand what we're doing. And I think it's time that we started listing what we might go after.
Ambassador, finally, I want to get your reaction as someone who has been targeted by Iranians for assassination. Yesterday, the U.S. renewed taxpayer funding security for former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Just like to get your reactions, as they say the threats against him are still very credible.
Sure. Look, I think it's entirely warranted. This is because of a congressional requirement that State Department reveal this sort of thing. I think Congress may want to consider whether that ought to be made public or whether Congress is informed privately. But I have no doubt that the protection for former Secretary Pompeo is warranted.
Ambassador John Bolton, good to see you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.